All right, so pardon her appearance, right? But what is this?
Okay, so this is TAM, which stands for Transparent Anatomical Manikin. And she was an exhibit here at MSI starting in 1969. Now, the museum, when it first opened in 1933, had from the very beginning a transparent anatomical mannequin, which was on display to help our visitors understand more about human physiology. And the idea was brought over from the Deutsches Museum, who has had transparent anatomical mannequins for many decades, by Julius Rosenwald, who founded the museum.
And my favorite Chicagoan, so.
There you go. And he was traveling in the Deutsches Museum with his teenage son, who was really impressed with all the interactives and all the exhibits. And so Rosenwald said, hey, let's get a transparent anatomical mannequin here. So up until 1969, there used to be one or a couple of versions of a woman with her arms up and extended that was part of the exhibitry here at MSI. And then in 1969, a local model maker who had studios right here in Chicago, his name was Richard Rush, and he had the Richard Rush Studios, and he was known for making pieces for various museums, came up with the idea of the transparent anatomical mannequin that you see here. So in 1969, he made 43 of these TAMs, and they were made out of this clear epoxy material, which was pretty revolutionary for the late 1960s. And the material is made in two halves, and then the two halves are hemispheres, if you will, are joined together, and you can see that there are seams going up and down the side of TAM on the sides. Now, before sealing the two halves together, Richard Rush and his team inserted lights into this mannequin, and they also used these pretty amazing translucent paints to paint the inside of the mannequin, giving this like 3D appearance to the mannequin. And one half is all about the veins and the muscles, and the other half is the bones and the arteries. And the exhibit here at the museum was her standing on a platform, and you'd press a button and she'd start to rotate, and this disembodied voice would say, hello, I am the transparent anatomical mannequin. And then she would go on to describe the different parts of the body and different systems.
And kids from all over went screaming.
Well, they certainly learned a lot. And this was what we had here at MSI up until the 1990s, when we got the plastinets and we got the body slices. This is how our visitors learned about human physiology. And it was all by pressing a button and watching her turn 360 degrees and describing those various parts and systems of the body, and the lights would light up in order to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I hope
pretty
it started
amazing.
with her amazing haircut.
So there is some interesting pop culture connections between TAM and the music industry, and I'll show you why. So what we have here is the 1994 Nirvana album in Utero. Story goes that Kurt Cobain, the singer, saw a postcard of TAM and was really impressed with that, wanted her for the album in Utero, but wanted to make her a little bit more special. So he had them draw wings on her. But for anyone who might think that they've seen TAM before, that's where she appears. Now, it also turns out that she's also on another album, and that's the soundtrack to a documentary called The Body that was made in 1969. And it was a documentary about anatomy in the body, but the music for that album was composed by members of Pink Floyd.
Whoa.
So, yeah, pretty interesting connections with pop culture.
History for you there, Tam.
That's right. That's right.